Yes.
Oh, there it goes. All right. For those watching tonight's meeting virtually, the meeting is available to live stream via the Park District website. All information about Park District meetings can be found at winpark.org under the Park District Info tab by selecting Board Meetings and Videos. Public comments are accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately following this evening's meeting. To improve the sound while listening to the meeting, please turn up the volume on your computer and turn up the volume on the website. The meeting packet for tonight's meeting is located on the website. For those attending tonight's meeting, the emergency exits from the room are the door behind you or through the foyer. If you do not hear well, please ask our on-site staff for an assistive device. All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the November 6, 2025 Winnetka Park District Board of Commissioners special meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:01 and ask Saba to take roll call for attendance.
Thank you. Commissioner Root,
Present.
Commissioner Corley,
Here.
Commissioner Rapp. Here. Commissioner Seaman,
Here.
Commissioner Kodo,
Here.
Commissioner Tyson,
Here.
and Commissioner Gibson.
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask you to stand if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shannon, do you have some public announcements for us?
I do. So Veterans Day is Tuesday, November 11th, and the community is invited to join the New Trier VFW Post 4831 to honor United States War veterans at the Community House at 5 p.m. This is a free event for the community. And also, in observance of Veterans Day, the Park District offices will be closed that day, the 11th. Also, the application for the Gulf Services Advisory Board is still open through November 13th, and more information can be found on our website.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any requests for changes or additions to this agenda for today. I'm not hearing any. So at this point, I'd ask for a motion to approve the November 6, 2025 special meeting agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Tyson Corley.
This is to our public. This is. Oh, I didn't do a voice vote, sorry. Could we do a voice vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
It just says that right there. This is your opportunity as members of the public to address the board on any issue. When called upon, come to the center position in front of the commissioners and stand at the podium. Speak into the microphone, state your name for the record, and speak directly to the board. Based on the public comment policy described in the board policy manual and referenced in Public Access Counselor Opinion 2024 PAC 81900, guests may present public comment for no longer than 3 minutes after being recognized. If you prefer to share your comments in writing this evening, you may do so by leaving those comments with a member of the Park District staff. Do we have anyone interested in making public comment?
Okay, it's Joanna Karatzis. I'm a resident of Winnetka. At the last special board meeting on October 9th, we were treated to an episode 2 of Blindsiding Commissioner Root. The first episode took place on April 25th, 2024. This time she was barred from participating in closed session due to an issue with an employee. I want to remind her fellow commissioners of the following. Members of the public voted Commissioner Root onto the Winnetka Park District Board. In silencing her, you are abusing the trust and interest of many of your fellow citizens. Before the meeting, Commissioner Root was given a 90-minute notice by the boards of their intended actions, even though the board knew of the complaint in September. Instead of using the ensuing weeks to de-escalate the situation, the board emerged from a closed session on the 9th with a resolution to hire a human resources attorney. That's a costly move and will ultimately be paid by the citizens of Northfield and Winnetka. Commissioner Root isn't the only person in Winnetka to disagree with the majority of the park board when it comes to Elder and Centennial. Other village boards gave proposed plans negative reviews. Open Lands and the Sierra Club joined the Northwestern School of Law in filing an amicus brief in support of legal action taken by a member of this community. Most noticeably, and since the proposed joining of the two beaches, a sizable group of citizens have consistently lobbied for the board to abide by the public trust doctrine and take nature and scale into consideration when making design decisions. If the board comes up with a rational plan for Elder and Centennial, distractions like censoring and exclusion of a fellow board member won't be necessary to push its agenda. Thank you. And I have it in writing.
Okay.
Who do I give this to?
Saba.
Take it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? No, I think that's you. Yep.
Good evening, Mary Garrison. I have a couple of questions that I just don't understand. Why would the Winnetka Park District propose to remove the free senior beach pass? What does Winnetka gain by doing this? What does Winnetka lose by doing this? The monetary return from this proposal is minimal. The loss of goodwill may be huge. The 2025 budget for Winnetka Park District is approximately $35 million. The rec budget for Winnetka Park District is approximately $3 million. Not knowing the exact number of senior passes distributed and used in 2025, I made an assumption. I assumed that the Winnetka Park District issued 500 senior complimentary passes. That's probably high. If the proposed fee is assessed, the income to the Recreation Department would be $5,000. What is the goodwill worth to the Park District from this more than 40-year senior gift? I would say the goodwill given to the district is 100% from your community. What is goodwill worth compared to the proposed Recreation Department budget? Now, excluding golf and tennis, which are recreational items, the recreation budget is around $3 million. The intake of $5,000 to the existing recreation budget is like 2/1000 of the existing recreation budget. Winnetka Park District senior recreation offerings are almost non-existent. Our seniors enjoy to the fullest the existing dog beach. Our seniors enjoy to the fullest public beaches and our public parks. A new walking program through the American Arthritis Association is available to the seniors, but it seems that it needs a kickstart. I may be missing other senior activities, but I do not think that I am missing them. We refer our seniors to the Nielsen Senior Center. I am asking that the complimentary senior pass that has been offered for over 40 years that I am aware of to be continued. I am also asking that the proposed fees for entrance to the beaches be thoughtfully discussed. Winnetka Park District needs to be a leader, and the beach fees should also remain the same, in my mind, as in 2025 for our residents. Why stir the pot? Why is our park district penalizing a larger residential family with more children and added costs for the children to enjoy our public beaches? Our big park district is sitting on a pile of borrowed, unused money. Maybe the district does not need to hold a portion of that $500,000 in 2026 Holding this money has proven to be costly. Be aware of the importance of preserving the proven image of the Winnetka Park District. Be
Please wrap up your
sensible.
comments. Your time is
Do not stir the pot.
Do we have any other comments? All right. At this point, as we move through tonight's agenda, I'd like to ask commissioners to keep their comments to 3 minutes per item, with one opportunity to speak on each item. If there are matters that require additional follow-up from staff and cannot be addressed immediately, those items may be tabled by a majority board vote to a future meeting. It's important that we respect the time of our community staff and fellow commissioners. I'd like to move to unfinished business, and section 3.1 of the agenda is to discuss the revised fee schedule, and this will be Shannon.
Okay, so at our last meeting, the board requested that we come back with some ideas for adjustments to the FY 2020, or calendar year FY 2026 fee schedule that was approved earlier this year. So we took a look at a number of items, specifically in the recreation department, to see what we might be able to do in order to meet that goal and what was feasible based on comparative pricing with other agencies and what might be tolerable with those particular fees. And that fee schedule is before you. What I would say on a couple of items, just to make sure that it's clear both to commissioners and to the public. So the item that is the second line that says Fall Fest on-site registration, that is just an on-site edition registration fee. So if you are registering ahead of time, that price stays the same at the $20 for residents, $25 for non-residents. But if you register on site, that fee goes up by $5. For birthday parties, what we do currently is we have a maximum of 20 participants in a birthday party. So what we are proposing to do, and then anything over that is an additional $6. What we are proposing to do is to change that maximum to 15 individuals in that birthday party, and then any additional to that is an additional $8. For beaches, what we looked at doing primarily, so for the daily visits, Monday through Friday, that was a very small increase of $1 for residents, $2 for non-residents. For what we are looking at, which was one of the caucus planks, to look at having daily passes on weekend days, we looked at having a Saturday and Sunday rate for daily visits, which, and having that fee be a little bit higher than the Monday through Friday rate. So that's at $15 and $30. For our season passes, when we compared to other agencies, our original fee looked a little bit higher than what other agencies particularly did, based on the way that it was structured. So with our season pass, it's currently $125 and then $15 for each additional family member. So the onset of that is higher, and the additional family members are a little bit lower. What we're proposing is to make each individual the same price. So if you are a family of 2, you're actually saving a little bit of money, or if you're an individual, you're saving a little bit of money. And if you have more individuals in your family, then that would be commensurate with the number of people in your family. The item for senior season passes, so that was previously free for residents. We're proposing a $10 fee for annual fee for seniors. It was mentioned in the public comment of how many individuals. That is about 600 individuals from both Winnetka and Northfield that have a no-cost senior pass at this point. And what I would also say is the board gave us direction to look at all of the options, so we were providing all of the options, and then the board can decide what is most feasible for us. Some of the other events, we adjusted the fees minor with some of the events that we do as well. We looked at some increases to both the Lloyd rack rate, storage, and also the Pier Launch Pass as well. Increases to the Platform Hut rental facility, and that has 3 different rates, because if you are a member of the Winnetka Platform Tennis Club, then there's a specific rate for those individuals to rent the hut. For ice, we looked at a minor increase of $1 per session, or $1 per class within the session. So if the session is 8 weeks, 8 classes, that's an increase of $8 for the entire session for ice. And then we also have some newer items on there to look at with our quarterly brochure that is mailed to all Winnetka Park District households, and to have a small bit of revenue there for advertising, back cover, inside front cover. Very minimal, so it's not that we're planning on advertising out the whole thing, but just a few minor things in order to be able to bring that up. All things being said, with these, if these increases are put in place, we estimate across the funds that this impacts is about an impact of $82,547 approximately. I'll answer any questions you have.
Mr. Tyson, Commissioner Tyson?
I'm just looking across on senior pass. I want to make sure I understand that the $10 is individual for resident. The $90 would be individual for non-resident.
Non-resident, correct.
And then how does that compare to 2025? Obviously, it was free for resident, but the $250.
That's based on the individual rate. So with a non-resident, the first person is the $250, and then each additional person from there, it's the same system.
Got it. So it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, Commissioner Rapp?
Just to clarify for Fall Fest, the fee is only for the people who are using the attractions, so like the bungee jumping, the
That's
bouncy
correct.
houses. So it's still free to the public to go in and enjoy the community row and the
Correct.
food trucks and some of the other free activities that we
Correct.
have. Okay, good. Just a comment on the senior pass for the beaches. I'm not in support of charging the $10 for such a little gain, because I agree that it could create a lot of negative feelings. I think a lot of people are not using other programs. I feel like we have a large segment of the community who get these passes so that then they can get the punch card to bring grandkids to visit, and I think if we take that away, it's just gonna feel, it's not gonna feel very nice, so that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Can I make a general comment?
Of course.
I mean, when we were going through the budget, this was at the request of the board to go back and look at it. And just some numbers. I'm in full support of looking for ways to increase fees. Why? Because in 2020, our tax dollars, ex-golf, paid for all salaries and wages, paid for all of our health care expenses for employees, and it paid for all of our IMRF and FICA, all of it, plus I'll say a $500,000 surplus. So here we are in 2025, 26, our taxes have gone up by about $1 million, roughly. But ex-golf, our salaries and wages, healthcare, and IMRF FICA have gone up by about $2 million. So point being, we need fees, and we have increased our fees considerably over the past 5 years. But we know post-COVID, the landscape has changed on inflation, employee pay, healthcare. So we need to look wherever we can look in a respectful manner to raise fees and other miscellaneous revenue. So I'm in support. I respect what Cynthia's saying. If the majority of the board is uncomfortable raising fees on seniors for the beach, then we can strike it. But in general, we need fee revenue. Thank you.
Does anyone else? Oh, Commissioner Root?
First of all, I want to thank staff for putting this schedule together. As I have two comments, one being with Lloyd. It appears to me that with Lloyd, we have somewhat of a monopoly. And so my question is whether we could actually increase those fees. Because typically, those that are using the Launch Pass do so here as a convenience. So that's just a question. I don't know what the competition is, and I'm sorry I didn't do the research on that. But I thought that was one area where we could actually go higher because we do have somewhat of a monopoly. With respect to the Senior Pass, I did do a little investigation, and what I learned was that the following North Shore park districts do not charge for seniors. Evanston, well, the city of Evanston runs the beach, and they don't charge anybody to access the beach. Glencoe does not charge seniors. Highland Park does not charge seniors, nor do they charge their residents to access Rosewood Beach. Lake Forest does not charge seniors, and Lake Bluff does not charge seniors. And that is seniors who are residents of those various districts. Now, Wilmette does charge seniors, and they give them somewhat of a discounted fee. And Kenilworth makes no distinction. In Kenilworth, you pay $100 for a family to go to the Kenilworth Beach. My recommendation is similar to what we've heard from Commissioner Rapp and also from former Commissioner Mary Garrison. I would suggest that perhaps we look at other areas in our fee schedule where we can increase fees, and that we not do this to our senior community that already pays taxes to support many amenities that they willingly support, but that they don't use. And the beach and the parks, that's where we see old fogies like me. So thank you for your consideration of that.
I do have a question as well. So when we have now proposed offering daily beach passes on Saturdays and Sundays, do you have any sense for whether or not that will lead to a significant decrease in season pass holders?
It's hard to say. If all things being equal, if we have the same amount of season pass holders, if we have additional folks come in for daily Saturday and Sunday beach, we'd probably make somewhere in the $7,000-8,000 range. However, it's hard to say who might reduce their season pass purchasing in lieu of an individual daily pass.
Right.
But what would be the difference is with a cost of $15 for an individual daily pass, if they're going to go 3 times during the summer, they might as well just buy the season pass. So I don't think it will be very impactful because the season pass is also a pretty good bargain versus just the just the individual daily, Saturday, Sunday pass.
Right.
So I don't think it would really impact our normal season beach pass purchasers.
Yeah.
But it might bring in a couple of non-resident folks to be able to
Oh, for sure, I think it will.
utilize on the weekend.
I think it will. I think it will quite a few. All right.
Scott has a
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. So, yeah, I just wanted to comment on the impact on the budget of these increases. It's about $82,000, you said,
Correct.
total? Okay. And David, I think we're all very appreciative of all the work you've done on numbers. And you just commented that our costs have gone up by $1 million, right?
Well, our taxes have increased by about $1 million since 2020.
Right.
Salaries and wages, IMR,
And health.
FICA, and healthcare, non-golf,
Yep,
are up about $2 million.
right.
So taxes don't pay for everything. We're actually a little bit of a deficit. But again, over that same time period, we've also taken in considerable additional fee revenue as well.
Gotcha, okay. So you're not saying that we're in a deficit of $1 million? The only reason why I say this, I thought where you were going with this is that these fee increases here are just de minimis, and we might as well just not do them, versus, like, if we want these to have a huge impact, or a significant impact on the budget, 82K is not gonna do it. We'd have to, do some multiple of this to the fees, which nobody wants to do. I just bring that up because it's always important to me to keep scale, relevant scale in mind. That if we're, increasing a fee that's, that is gonna have an impact on somebody, not going to the beach, like, I think, young families and obviously seniors too. Part of living here is being able to go to the beach. So I just wanted to kind of square those numbers to make sure that we're looking at things in scale. And I suppose I should have an opinion after all that, which would be that, like, I'm just surprised that it's a small impact on the overall thing to increase fees in a way that might be, unpalatable. So my opinion would be that, we should feel free to not increase fees that have a small impact.
Commissioner Coda?
So I wanted to review, as Scott did, some basics about our budget. Half of our budget comes from tax revenues, and half of our budget comes from fees. Tax revenues are constrained with regard to how much we can raise them. Fees are constrained in a competitive fashion. Whenever the staff looks at raising fees, they look at their competitive landscape to try and assess whether or not the market will bear those fees. $82,000 is approximately 2 percentage points plus of salary increases. And what we've seen is that the revenue line is going like this, and the expense line is going like this. And so we have to find a way to extract some additional revenue in fees to maintain some distance between the revenue and the expenses. So, and the only way that we can do it, we're capped in terms of the taxes with regard to how much we can raise. And we are capped by the competitive landscape as to how much we can raise in fees. And so, for that reason, I would say every dollar helps. As you can see, as we go through these categories, we're cutting a number of things that have a small impact. But it sends the message that we're trying to watch what we spend. There'll be some cuts to commissioners' participation on the Park District's dime for conferences. we can pay our own way, that's definitely important. I think it sends an important message. So I'm in favor of the fees as proposed.
Yes.
There have been, listen, there's been a lot of work by Shannon and staff, Jim, Elisa. There's a lot of cuts to expenses. It's arduous. So we're not just sitting up here saying, hey, let's raise fees by 82 grand. There's also been some very difficult decisions on the expense side in terms of hires, pay raises. I can, look at this village, not that I want to compare us to the village, but their annual increases are very small on a dollar amount. But it does add up. And as I said, we've seen post-COVID a significant increase in, I'll call, human capital expenses. So, and the value of the services that we provide, the team, I don't think we should ever feel ashamed about increasing our fees. Our people are much more expensive than they used to be. That's okay. They're really good. So we should charge a fee that is reflective of that quality of service that we provide to the community. Thank you.
All right. I think everyone has, do you have something more?
I just wanted to put in perspective, 82,500 is the amount that was budgeted for employee bonuses. Just to.
Louder, please.
82,500 is the amount that had appeared in the budget for employee bonuses, just to put it in context. Procedurally, are you looking for a motion on this? Like, should we be
Yes.
making a motion
Yes.
to,
Yes.
to
approve
not
this.
charge, to change the seniors to
Well,
fees?
I don't know
No
if
fee
we're,
schedule.
okay, I don't know. We are either going to approve the fee schedule as presented or amend it.
Okay,
Okay?
so I'll let you make that motion, and then
Okay.
I will make a
All
motion
right.
to amend it.
May I have a motion to adopt the fee schedule revisions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I'd like to amend that motion to adopt the fee schedules as stated, with the exception of holding firm on not charging seniors for a beach pass.
I'll second that.
Could I clarify if that's for senior residents or seniors altogether?
Oh, no,
Senior
senior
residents.
residents
Thank you.
only.
Do we?
Yeah, we have to have a discussion.
Do we need any additional discussion?
Do we need, does anyone wish to?
I'll pipe in since I sort of am on the fence between the two. I agree that this is a significant amount. I mean, this is the 82,000, it's a salary, it's a chunk of bonuses. I agree, we have to increase fees, it's the only other lever we have. And we have to get the increases aligned, our costs and our revenue. And I think my baseline is some of these people on this list that pay fees, I would say, like, people doing boat launches and rack storage are a lot less sensitive to cost than seniors. Like, if I had a boat in my driveway, I'd just come and say, how much does it cost here, right? So I agree with the senior amendment to zero that out. And if somebody wants to increase somebody else's fee by 5K, then
Hey,
We
what
can do
what
that
is,
too.
what is considered
So,
senior?
yeah, like offset.
65 plus. Well, what I would say, if you want to offset the senior cost, so based on just the rack storage, so if both sides are and I'm trying to have my glasses on. So if I look at another $25 increase on both rates, that would add an additional $5,750 to that potential
That's
revenue,
both
Which
the,
gets us close to this.
which gets close to the 6,000 that the senior,
is that both the rack and the
that,
boat?
that was just the rack.
I did the boat too.
Yeah,
Oh, I think, yes, definitely the launch.
yeah.
We're
So
gonna
if
call it,
that's
we're gonna call it
raised-
the Corley fee.
So if that's
I'd also be
raised-
down there paying, you know,
Step in
$20 tips
quarterly.
every time. I don't know how much tips are, but. you know.
So if the pier launch is raised another $25, so if that's up to 600 and, what is that, 600 and then 12, no. 1175, then that would be another 3150, so then you're at 8,900.
Yeah.
All right, the David Seaman fee.
Okay,
Is that what we're doing? Yeah.
more, okay.
Commissioner Dakota?
What's the rate today? More. Just kidding, that's a joke,
I
by the
have,
way.
I have one question. There is a scholarship fund or an assistance fund, correct?
We have in the budget a $10,000 set aside for scholarships.
Okay. And is that available to seniors also?
Yes, I believe so,
Okay. And it's available to families who want to go to the beach also?
yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, that there is assistance. If somebody has a hardship, they can apply for assistance. And we're happy to extend that, because that's been a budget item for a long time. And it's something that we can absolutely offer.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. So the rack rate, the rack storage, that's for people to store kayaks and paddle boards?
Correct.
How is supply versus demand on that right now?
The wait list is getting shorter. We should get through the wait list this upcoming season, but I think right now we have about 10 folks on the wait list.
I want to apologize. I think I might have upset you, so I apologize, seriously.
Why do you say that?
No, I'm being serious, and I'm not being, like, I'm not, I don't.
you're not sitting
I- I'm being
We're
serious.
doing busier, Dan.
And I do not, in all sincerity, I do not take raising fees lightly. Okay, I don't like, this isn't like joyous, okay? This is where we are, so, for the record.
I want to say one thing. Can I just say it quickly? One thing with the rack storage is that most people, I think you'll see, have 2 racks because they want to go out on paddle boards or kayaks with others. So that's a pretty hefty fee if you're adding it twice. So I want people to consider that.
When Scott and I had our pre-discussion, I would just note that the last time that we had a fee increase, I believe, on Lloyd rack storage, and I would expect that our executive director confirmed this, is 2023.
Correct, 2023.
So we have not had inflationary
Okay.
increases
All
on
right,
that
fair
amount
enough.
in, some time,
Okay.
so.
Fair enough. All right, so should we redo the motion?
There's a motion on the table, there's 2 motions on the table.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but how, can we just mention how we are amending the fee schedule? Like, when you say as amended, what do you mean? Do you mean changing the Lloyd rack storage as well as increasing the pier launch pass, as well as eliminating the senior?
So the current, and I don't remember, was there a second on Commissioner
Yeah.
Roots? So the requested amendment was just in regards
Senior
to
beach pass.
the senior resident beach pass.
So,
That's what's currently there. Now, if Commissioner Root and the individual that seconded want to change their amendment, they can do that.
I'm happy to restate and revise the amendment to include not only not charging seniors for a beach pass, but also to
Resident.
increase, resident, thank you, Jeff, but also to increase the fees for 2026 on Lloyd rack storage And on Peer Launch Pass and Executive Director, I need your help in saying what those are.
For, if we just say as
$25.
$25
I think that's what you said, 25 each.
each.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that covers the 6,000.
And for
And
non-residents
a
as
little
well,
more.
Correct.
for that,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
Is there a second?
Second,
all right. So when we have two different motions like this, do we go with?
So
did the
now you're
second?
going to, we've discussed
Oh,
this
okay,
motion.
now we'll go to vote. Okay, and the first motion that was proposed was, may I have a motion to adopt the fee schedule revisions as presented?
So we vote on the
Now you
amendment.
vote
So-
on
No,
the
now we're
Vote on
gonna
the
do,
vote.
may I have a motion to adopt the fee schedule revisions as amended?
So moved.
Okay,
second.
okay. And then we'll have a roll call vote, we've already had the discussion.
Okay. Commissioner Koto,
Yes, as long as it's expense neutral, revenue neutral, yes.
Commissioner Corley,
Yes.
Commissioner Rabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. At this time, we will go to presentations, and we will see the 2026 budget revisions from Mr. Crocker.
Thank you, Commissioner Gibson. As we've discussed already this evening, at the last meeting, we, as the staff, were asked to go back and review our 2026 budget request on both the revenue and the expense side. We've just discussed the revenue side a bit. Go into a little bit more detail here on some of the other changes we've made and are recommending to the board. District-wide changes. At the last meeting, we talked about the fact that our medical insurance broker had just come back to us with the new percentage of 9.27 versus the 20% we had originally put in the budget. At the time, we didn't have a dollar amount to recommend to the board. You'll see that comes $134,817 less than what we had originally budgeted for 2026. Some significant savings. We also created an account to show the employee contribution, or employee withholding, that we then pay to our insurance providers. That creates a $286,000 reduction in the budget as well. And then we took the original COLA request, removed that from the budget, and instead input a 4% merit pool and a 0.5% internal adjustment fund to compensate staff in 2026. That reduced an additional $89,000 out of the 2026 budget proposal. And it's important to note that this has an impact across all funds, all operating funds. Are there any questions about these before I move forward?
Just,
Yes.
I do have some questions, just for the merit pool, that is being budgeted all in corporate, and then will subsequently be pushed out to the other funds once the awards are made, is that correct?
No, the merit pools are budgeted in all of the individual funds. And if the way that we work through that is they're grouped by administration, parks, ice, tennis, and that merit pool is worked through with those groupings of employees.
Okay, last year we put it in all in corporate, and I think that it,
No, we did not.
we do it in the budget line item that I was provided before we approved it. So I just think that that process reduces the flexibility in allocating the merit pool, and so that's a concern. The other comment that I have is that I would like to see, because we've gone back and forth on this particular item, I would like to see the numbers, specifically, what is our full-time salary base, because this is only applicable to full-time employees, the merit pool. And I would like to see what that is, what the 4% is, and what the 0.5% is, just so that we're clear on the numbers, because I see this reduction. We've had a prior presentation. I know there's been some adjustments with the budget, but I just want to make sure that I am really clear on what those numbers are. Also, regarding the medical expense and the contributions, I would like to see a schedule that shows the Blue Cross Blue Shield expense, current year and future year, employee contributions for health insurance, and then, employee contributions and cost for the dental premiums, and see those different categories in that account broken out so that we understand what the different contribution rates are for the different items. Because I believe in that budget account, for example, there are some benefits that we offer that employees pay 100% of the cost. There's some benefit items that employees can max out at 25% of the cost. There are some that employees max out at 14 or 15% of the cost. So I think because each of those has an underlying dynamic to it, I think understanding how that's, implemented and budgeted and how the costs are changing is really important, because it is a huge line item with a huge increase. So those are my comments on this.
Okay.
Commissioner Kodo? I think Commissioner Rapp is a lover of details, and that's to be commended. But I do think that that's a conversation that can happen in a private meeting with full detail, and it can be shared with the board, for sure,
Yeah,
but doesn't have to be a public conversation.
it's fine. I just wanted the
Yeah.
request for the information to be publicly made out on the table so that we know what it is. I would say that many boards, approve the specific merit increase amount as a individual item. So we can decide how we want to do that collectively, but I do think it's important that we're clear on the numbers. All right, thank you.
I know on some of them, we can probably, because I remember that the 0.5% is about $14,000 and some change.
Right,
$14,055.
Yeah,
14026 or something like that, 14056, something like that, yeah. a little
that's
over
the only
14,000.
number that is in my head right now. I don't remember any of the other ones off the top of my head, fortunately.
But we can follow up and get that information
Yes.
to the board. Are there any other questions before I move forward? Any other comments? Okay. Moving forward. The general fund, some of the changes we made changes both to operating expenses and operating capitals. You'll see here a number of items spelled out. We removed some part-time positions. We removed a new position that we had originally budgeted for. There's a couple of items here, operating capitals that we've taken out. We pushed hiring one of the positions to March of 2026 for a couple months worth of savings. We eliminated sponsorships of external organizations. The retirement contributions related to the full-time position we had have also been eliminated. And some other conference attendance and other awards have been reduced. So all these were out of the corporate fund. And these are reductions we made that will not impact operations. So, are there any questions or comments on these before I continue? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not for me to say. It's up to Commissioner Pipson.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay.
It is for you to say.
Okay. I have two questions.
Yes.
As far as sponsorships, can you tell us what sponsorships, or was this across the board just reducing the amount?
No, this is the Winnetka Music Festival. It's the Alliance for Early Childhood. and there's one other that,
Green Bay Trail Days.
thank you, Green Bay Trail Days, thank you.
Thank you. And
It
then-
doesn't restrict them from coming to the board and asking for those sponsorships. It just takes them out of the budget, so they would have to come to the board for that approval.
Thank you for that. And then with respect to legal expenses, with this $50,000 reduction, are we looking at $175,000?
But yes, the $175,000 will be the budgeted amount, yes.
I would ask that my fellow commissioners consider a further reduction of this legal fee. And my reasoning is as follows. Wilmette budgets $125,000 for legal fees, and they did so in a time when they had quite some ambitious litigation. And so what this suggests to me is that perhaps we might be a little more prudent with our use of our council, so that we consider ways to get things done without having to reach out to council. It's a suggestion if anyone else chooses to consider that. So, thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay, moving on. The fund overview, as you'll see, when we presented this last time, there was a negative. We are now projecting a net fund income positive of $163,870. And our ending reserves are now over $3 million, whereas before we were under $2 million. So the revenue increases and the cuts we've made to the budget have had a significant overall positive impact on the projected reserves in the corporate fund. Also, you'll see with the reductions we've made, the 25% minimum fund reserve has also gone down, which creates an even more significant buffer between the reserve we're required to hold and the reserve we are projecting to have. So,
Hey, Shannon, do you mind if I make my comment on minimum reserve?
I don't mind at all.
I thought minimum reserve requirements were 25% of operating expenses less allocations. Right now, that calculation is 25% of the operating expenses. And the reason that that's important, obviously, it frees up more reserves. It's less conservative. But also, if we are allocating $872,000 to other funds and including that number in the other funds' operating expenses and then taking 25% of that, there's a double counting going on. Because we're reserving against the allocation dollars here and in the fund. So I would just ask you to take a look at that. Because I think who's ever getting allocated the $872,000, that's also included in that fund's operating expenses, and therefore the minimum reserves are calculated on that. Does that make sense?
it makes sense, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the reason for the allocation is to cover operating expenses in a fund that doesn't make that much money. So they've got the operating expenses, they need to have them covered with this allocation, so you are double counting. The other thing I would say is that the philosophy around reserves is just basic discipline with regard to some relationship to operating expenses. And we put this in probably 6 years ago.
I
I'm
think
not
it was
mistaken.
2019.
Yeah,
somewhere around
right when I joined the board. So reserves are kind of dead weight. I mean, if you're a park district, your goal is to provide recreation. Yeah, I mean, it's a buffer, just in case you have some unforeseen events, but reserves are kind of dead weight, so. yeah.
But in previous years, we did reduce in the general fund
Yes,
the operating expenses by the allocation
yes,
and then calculated the minimum reserve on that.
correct. Yes,
And then vice versa, in the funds that they were being allocated, we increased their operating expenses
yeah,
and increased therefore the minimum reserve requirement.
yeah.
So what I see in the policy manual right now, so fund reserves is 7.32 of the policy manual. And that has and I pulled it up, so the stipulation on this is 25% of expenditures, not including capital, debt service, and transfers. So that is what the policy says currently, right now. It does not mention, I mean, and whether you consider an allocation a transfer to include or not include is
Good question.
a question. We haven't gotten to chapter 7 in our
Yes,
policy
I know,
manual
I know.
review. But it is something that we can look at for going forward with policy manual updates. But as of right now, currently, it's the expenses, not including capital, debt service, or transfers.
Yeah, I get it.
And I would respectfully like to mention that when it comes to budgeting, we take a very conservative approach. We budget revenues low and we budget expenses high. We'd rather overshoot our revenue projections and undershoot our expense projections. So it's part of the philosophy that we take when we approach the budget process. So just want to keep that out there. Are there any other questions about this before I move forward? Okay. The Recreation Fund. We had a number of expense reductions. One of the significant ones, we're proposing changing beach operations. Currently, in 2025, it was from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to reduce that to 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Should generate a savings of $45,489. We changed the park ranger from a full-time position to 2 part-time positions. That allowed us to reduce salaries and benefits for that position. We're deferring the purchase of a beach tractor. We are eliminating private security fees and a decrease in concert expense for the Wednesday in the Woods concert series. We've also built in some event sponsorship that we had collected but had not actually budgeted for before. So we're now putting it into the budget for 2026. So these all have positive impacts on the Recreation Fund.
And what I would mention too is that the fees that we talked about in the previous item are not included in these calculations.
Thank you, Shannon. So as with the general fund, in the previous presentation, we were showing a modest net deficit for the 2026 budget where recreation is concerned. We are now showing a positive net fund income of over $319,000, which adds to the bottom line for our projected ending reserves in recreation, which is important. And as you had mentioned in our meeting earlier, Commissioner Seaman, there are no restricted funds anymore in the recreation fund. This money was for the synthetic turf field replacement, which is going on outside the windows as we speak. So we will have no restrictions in the recreation fund on the reserves in 2026 and going forward. That's important to note.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on the recreation fund? Comments, concerns?
Commissioner Rath?
So I just wanted Executive Director Nizal to review the overall staffing changes, because I don't feel like as a board we have a solid understanding of where the positions have been added in the budget. And then after that, I have a couple of questions on this one.
The changes to staff, or the additions to staff, the park planner position, which would be paid from March, or budgeted from March to December, is in the general fund under parks. And the systems analyst position, which would be budgeted from January to December, is in corporate. And then the part-time park ranger positions are budgeted in rec. And those are the only new additions.
And the prior budget included the procurement specialist, which has been taken out.
Eliminated, yes.
Okay. So on this slide, I've been puzzling over the park ranger full-time to 2 part-time positions, and is that potentially something that we could consider deferring? So I'd like to have that reviewed for what the job really is, because as I've been driving around Winnetka, I mean, I do see the protective services vehicles that the Winnetka Police Department has added, and I was just trying to rationalize the park ranger, the reduction in private security fees, and the Winnetka Police Department protective services to understand the roles and value add for each one, because to me, it seems like this private security, as an example, was to patrol the beaches during the off hours in the evening, and,
7 PM to 2 AM.
okay. So, but I do see those protective service vehicles going around in the overnight. So I'm just wondering, like, have we explored feasibility of partnership to have them also driving into the beaches? I know in the past, before I joined the board, I would sometimes see the Cook County Sheriff driving down the driveway at Tower, so I don't know if that still happens or not, like if that was contracted by the Park District or if that's part of their normal patrol. So I guess I'm just having a hard time kind of rationalizing those 3 things in terms of thinking about what's best for our community in terms of, keeping people safe. I mean, I certainly feel like it's value add to have some beach patrols, because I think, rangers on the beach in the dark, what could go wrong? Like, I think that's something that we want to be, having some eyes on, which we have, in theory, had with the private security. So I'm just wondering if you could talk about that a little bit more and educate us.
Sure. So with the private security company, that was a remnant of the COVID area when things were kind of getting overrun. During those times, things were closed, people were going out to the beaches, causing issues out there. So that was something that was done around the 2020, 2021 timeframe. The use that we've got now is probably, I would say, we get what we pay for with that particular service. And it is not the expectation that we hope. We don't get a lot of, reporting from the company and that sort of thing. So if we were to do it, we would probably need to go back out, and likely that would be even more expensive to do that. To have a company like the village has for their additional security services. That could also be an option to work with the village, but it's going to increase the cost. Right now, we have about $35,000 budgeted for that private security for those hours. That is low in comparison to what potentially it could be. As far as the park ranger positions, those are non-deputized, so they are regular staff members who are assisting community members with issues at the park, helping to ensure folks are following the rules that we put in place, whether it's the new e-bikes and e-scooter regulations that we just put in place, whether it's we're installing the new turf over here and keeping dogs off of that, or dogs on leashes in our parks and that sort of thing. So it's making sure that we provide the best services that we can for the community, that folks are abiding by the ordinances that the board has put into place for the park district, that the state has put into place for us to work through as a park district. Right now, we don't have the capacity for that with the staff that we have now. So these part-time positions would be roaming throughout the park district, looking at areas that are, when we have higher use at certain areas, then they would probably be working during those time periods, probably later in the afternoons on most days, and it would probably be something that they wouldn't be at the same time. They would have a vehicle that we'd likely be using one of our old vehicles, so we don't add that to the budget right now either. But this is more of a helpful with enforcement type part-time position.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna digest and let others.
Listen, I think we had a lot of discussions between the last meeting and now. I imagine we're gonna have a lot more discussions between now and the next meeting. Hopefully less, but, with something like this, with a new position, again, this is a little bit in the weeds. I tend to like well, other than the budget, the executive director runs the agency. However, I would say, is it possible to start with one of these park rangers rather than two? I don't know. I know it's part-time. It's just a thought. I leave it to you. My guess is the position will develop as it's needed.
Sure.
Where it's needed, we don't really know. But I'm sure we'll probably have a couple more discussions about it.
Yeah, it's just as we get more ordinance changes and more regulations that are put in place that we are expected to enforce or abide by or make sure that folks are following, we don't have the capacity to ensure that right now.
Right.
So it's something that we need to do something about. What we do about that is we're trying to come up with suggestions on how to
Yeah.
handle those concerns.
Yeah.
Commissioner Root?
I have two questions for the executive director. On the change of beach operation times, I note that our surrounding park districts do this, where they have operations starting at 10 and closing at 8. But they also notate that people are free to swim at their own risk outside those hours. Is that the intention of doing this with the Winnetka Park District? Where if you have early morning people that want to come down early and they want to go swimming during season, they'll be able to do that.
What we had looked at was just the allowing sand use and no swimming without lifeguard present, as that's our current.
That is our current. Safety first, I agree. Again, perhaps that's an item that we can, as commissioners, discuss further about as we look at finalizing all this. My second question for the executive director deals with the job description of a park ranger. Are these individuals going to be security trained? In other words, law enforcement trained?
No,
in
they
your
will not be law
envision?
enforcement.
So can you give me some idea of what their skill set might be? What you
They-
envision to be the skill set?
They would be community advocates, so they would talk to community members that are in our facilities. They would understand what our ordinances are. They would advise community members of what those rules are, ask for compliance, or work with them on any confusion or let them know about what the proper way to do things in a facility. They're also able to, if we have a rental for something, that they can assist a user that may not know what time their rental is, or there happens to be somebody else in the pavilion while somebody else has a rental or something like that. They can handle those situations. So it's similar to a facility supervisor, but with the added component of understanding our ordinances and knowing who to contact, whether it's the police department or whatever, if we're not able to get compliance.
Rather like a concierge service, in a way.
Community service.
I like community service label rather than park ranger. Sounds scary.
Yeah, there's a balance between like security guard versus, I guess one way to maybe describe it to everybody is, after a year of it, how would you evaluate how well that person did at the job?
We have a job description.
Yeah.
We can provide that to the board.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, I get why it's needed. There's a lot going on here in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot everywhere. I mean, this campus is rocking. I mean, so there's a lot of people. So I get it, why there's a concierge that's needed.
Like concierge. Commissioner Cotto? Yeah, I would say two specific areas in the past where we have asked for support from the Winnetka Police and they have been stretched too thin to provide it are some of the street end beaches where we have actually stepped forward to help with that because it's a beach, we're down there, we'll walk down there and help. And then the golf course. So those are two areas where we have had some damage, some security would have been helpful, some park rangers would have been really helpful for us. Not 100% law enforcement, it's not an emergency, most of it is property damage or sort of mild shenanigans, but I would say nonetheless, having a park ranger really helps. And someone who's our employee who can establish relationships with people and say, all right, this is the third time I've seen you here, come on.
Yeah, it's the dogs on the turf and going to the bathroom on the turf that just sets me over the edge.
Yeah, it's
I see it out my window in
I'm
my
sure you
office and I
do.
can't get to it quick enough.
All right.
I have another. Oh, I would just say on this one, my gut is I would really like to see a little bit more diligence applied in, is there an outsource opportunity to accomplish it? Because it sounds like we have some peak specific needs. I'm a little apprehensive about having an employee whose role is to, I mean, it's a balance on enforcement, but I'm a little concerned that depending on the tack that that's taken, that residents who are just living their lives, going about their business, could not take kindly to this, and I feel like it might be good to see if we can have an outsourced solution to try it out and see how that feels before we are committing to employees. That's just my thought. So I mean, I personally would like to see a little bit more due diligence and consideration around those couple areas to see what partnerships we can have. Are there other firms that we can use? Is there another path?
I would say that staff has done a lot of due diligence in their work in coming up with ideas to reduce funds and provide the best services to the community. And with these particular items, if the idea is to outsource that work, we're not going to get exactly what we're looking for, because then they can't do additional things that we may need them to help with, like
They
the
can't flex.
rentals or the, you know, the sports field issues or things like that. So, regards to rentals and that sort of thing. So it would be very limited to a scope of services for a particular outsourced company. And we've worked with an outsourced company and we have not been thrilled.
Right.
And so we've been that route. We've talked to the police department on a couple of different ideas, but they're also stretched thin. And even when they have a company, there's only so much capacity within that company as well. So the board can, you know, decide one way or the other as far as the funding of said thing, and where that goes in the budget. But as far as the service or the hiring for, you know, with those amounts, if the dollar amounts in the budget, then I feel that's on us as staff and myself as the executive director to assist the agency in getting the right solution.
I would say that New Trier, I think for large bookings, has some requirements for security or for staff of this nature that then they charge a fee for of the entity using the facility. So I don't know if that's perhaps another path for cost recovery for these items.
Listen, I wouldn't be for outsourcing. I think when you outsource, you lose control. You bring it in-house, you have control. It might be a little bit more expensive, maybe, but as you said, it's much more flexible. The company we use for the beaches, completely different at night. It's kind of hard to hire, for that, other than going to an outsourcer. I think this has got to be an in-house position. This has to be this is a very high interactive position. Like, there's a lot of individuals that this person, concierge or park ranger, whatever you want to call it, they could be interacting a fair amount with the community. So I would be, it's got to be in-house in my view.
Commissioner Root?
I guess my concern is how this is perceived by the community as we, again, work toward goodwill and community support of our programs and facilities. And the term park ranger, to me, is synonymous with someone who enforces the law rather than assists. And again, it may just be semantics, but it's something to consider. And again, my recommendation is that if we are going to go in-house, and I'm hearing that's what the board wants to do, and certainly the recommendation of our executive director, that we start with one position and see if there is a need to fill a second one.
Well, it was, right? It was one position that was split into two part-time, right?
I guess
Yeah,
you're
so it's based on the number of hours. So you really wouldn't be looking at the number of positions, you would be looking at the number of hours that we're really looking at. So the number of positions is immaterial, it's the number of hours.
Yeah.
So if you want to have coverage over a certain time period, you have to be able to cover those hours.
Yeah, you're right.
So you need two, is what you're telling us.
It would be based on hours, and Kosta, you can go into a little bit more detail, you've worked on it more.
Yeah, so the breakdown for the park ranger budget, as we discussed originally, from the one full-timer position with benefits, taking a look at that and what that looked like, to break that down. Lisa and I were able to basically put our heads together and figure out, when do we need coverage? How often do we need that coverage, and what's the examples, and what do we need to do with that coverage? So the hours that are allotted here are from October to April. We have 2 staff members working 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's broken up so they can change up, because you're not going to find one individual to accomplish that, because then you start going beyond the threshold of part-time, and then there's additional benefits that need to be paid. So that's something we got to be mindful of, is that breakdown of hours.
Yep.
In addition to that, during our peak time, in the summertime, which we listed out from May through September, if now the security force goes away in the evening, the beach staff needs support to get people out. Especially if we're talking about reducing hours from 9 to 8, and we need to make sure people are out of the water and swimming, they need somebody that they can call as backup, if you will, to help enforce these things. So we are looking at 2 staff members during that peak time with a actual seasonal person allotted for 2 days, essentially the weekend coverage, where we can extend that for Friday nights and Saturday nights, where it would be the higher visibility. So the total allotted time was a little over 3,000 hours total for the entire calendar year, to make sure we had covered essentially 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. And then, like I said, in the summertime, we extended that a little bit further, 2 days a week, to make sure that Fridays and Saturdays were further covered. So that was kind of the breakdown. And then Shannon already expanded upon the needs of those services and how they're used, whether it's keeping people in compliance with the existing ordinances. I drive through the parks and I try to tell people as best I can, I don't have time to do that, my guys don't have time to do that. And it's just a gentle reminder. It's not to say, get your dog on a leash and get him out of here. It's, hey, just so you guys will realize there's a leash law, please be aware of that. Be mindful of that the next time you come to the park. Be respectful in your approach. And that's the intent, is to be that respectful approach. You might remember pre-COVID, when we used to rent grills, tables and chairs, we had park rangers at that time that were weekend coverage, and they would move all the things around. As we distilled those rentals back, we loosened that up and we got rid of some of those services. The need for those services to keep people in compliance with their rental applications as those expand and as they grow is important. Make sure facilities clean when there's back-to-back rentals, bathrooms are clean and so forth. Whether you're paying a staff member for maintenance or you're paying a staff member who's a park ranger that can double as that, it makes more sense to utilize that in a cost-effective way. So those are some of the things to think about. along with checking walkways in the evenings when they're roaming around. If it's wintertime, I don't have staff around 24/7. Lightly snow or ice applications, somebody needs to throw salt to an entryway, what have you. Those are the things that they can touch on as well. Once again, I don't know if I would use the term concierge, but the services that need to be rendered to make sure that we're operating at capacity and the expectation that the community has.
Christina? I would say in-house, there's always the chance to develop kind of a sweet community relationship. And that helps. That helps us.
And it's part-time, so it's low risk. I mean,
Mhm.
we don't like it a year from now.
Right.
Okay.
I have no problem with the word park ranger. The word park ranger connotates for me a very wonderful experience when you go to the national parks and you meet them and they want to tell you all about the park. So I have no problem with it. But
Other park districts have these positions, and maybe call them park monitors. So this isn't a unique position.
Do others on the North Shore have them? So it's like who?
So I know Skokie has, and that they call them monitors, park monitors.
I was just curious if other North Shore communities, I've not run into it, so I just was curious. Whether you
they
can-
have something at Wilmette because I know they have to close their beaches down all the time. And I don't know if it's just the police that come and do it every weekend night, but they have something in Wilmette. All right.
All right, moving on. So, Platform Tennis Fund. The only changes to this fund were the district-wide changes we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, which is the reduction of the COLA request, the reduction of the medical insurance premium, and the employee withholding account that was added. So we are now showing a net fund income of a little over $9,600 in the Platform Tennis Fund, which is higher than it was in the previous presentation, and will have a positive impact on the ending reserves. The same thing with the tennis fund. There were no changes to this fund other than, as I said, the medical insurance reduction, premium reduction, the employee withholding, and the COLA adjustment. And tennis is one of our most well-funded enterprise funds anyway. So the ending reserves are going to be significant and comfortable for the tennis fund. The ice arena. The one significant change other than those district-wide changes, they've deferred the purchase and acquisition of a storage shed. It's a $14,000 operating capital reduction to the ice arena budget. So they are projecting now a net fund income of over $44,400, which again creates or maintains a healthy ending reserve balance for the ice arena fund. And then moving on to special rec, we have no changes to the special recreation fund request for 2026. And for the rest of the non-operating funds, I'm going to touch on a couple of these. At the previous meeting, the board asked me to look at some of these non-operating funds and the balances that we have to see if some of the tax levy revenue might be reallocated elsewhere. So we've come up with a couple of options here for the board to consider. The first is this is the workers' compensation fund. There we go. Thank you. This does not reflect changes yet. But you see, the ending reserves are over $79,000 projected for 2026. The required reserves are only $17,000. So we think we might be able to take approximately $30,000 out of the tax levy revenue for 2026. That will reduce the ending reserves to $49,000, which is still almost 3 times what the reserve requirement would be. So it's a possible $30,000 infusion of tax levy money to the recreation or general fund. The next fund, IMRF and FICA, We did note that there's a reduction from the eliminated purchasing specialist vacancy of $18,611. But this one also has very healthy reserves. We're projecting $571,111 in reserves, which is 2.5 times what the 25% requirement maintains. So we are projecting a possible, hold on to your hats here, $100,000 reduction to the tax levy for 2026. That would reduce this to $471,000, which is still multiples over the 25% requirement that we would have. Again, it's important to note that these possibilities are a one-year adjustment only. We do not recommend this on an ongoing basis. That's not sustainable. But these changes might help build some of the reserves. And again, this is what the board asked us to do, was to take a look at these things. The audit fund is too small to really consider any major adjustments here. But the liability fund also has very healthy balance. We're 3 times what we are required to maintain. So we projected we might be able to take up to $60,000 out of this fund and reallocate that tax levy money elsewhere. That would reduce this to $74,000, which is still almost double what the 25% requirement would be. So those are the 3 possibilities we examined and have considered at the board's request. So it's something for the board to ponder as we continue through this process. And finally, moving on to debt service, we made no changes. This is a static dollar amount. And major capital projects, we did remove a duplicate Hubbard Woods capital entry for $30,000 from this fund. But otherwise, the major capital projects remains unchanged from the previous presentation. So that is the end of the changes and the recommendations we've made at this point. Yes?
Yes.
So, on the capital projects fund, if you go back to that,
Yeah.
I think I sent that email to Shannon and you.
Yes.
Should there not be a transfer in?
For
At
2025.
some point, because rec is transferring out.
Right. Yes, there should be a transfer in, and we will correct that going forward. But it's a pass-through. The money's coming in from the recreation fund and then going out to pay for the synthetic turf field.
So are you saying that the capital expenses of 1990926 do not include the turf?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, we will put that in, but it will not change the bottom line numbers for 25 and the projections for 26. Any other comments, questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
You,
you.
yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for your time in the individual meetings.
All the work.
Yeah, and all the work.
At this time, we're gonna go to commissioner comments, and I just ask that we keep them to 3 minutes, and I'm asking if anyone would like to make a comment. Commissioner Root?
I had a wonderful time walking the lakefront today, and I just want to commend staff on how great Elder Beach looks. I mean, it really is. It has been cleaned up, and it's such a pleasure to be able to go down there on a beautiful day like today and just walk. So, thank you, Costa, to you and your team.
Lovely. Nope. All right. Is this something?
I have something. I just want to say how exciting it is to see the turf coming up.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my mind, like earlier in the week, gosh, I wonder when that's starting. And then I had occasion to walk down Hubbard. I was like, oh, it started. So I know the community will be very excited to not have black crumbly rubber in their cars, in their homes.
Yep.
I think that
Yeah.
it's going to be a huge value add. And I think that combined with the tennis court, we have a lot of, exciting and happy projects underway here on this campus. So thank you.
I would like to just say appreciation to the foundation for recycling the turf that is being taken out, because when you see how much it is, it's really nice to know that it's not going into a landfill. Commissioner Cotto?
I just have two things. One, in the spirit of austerity, I understand that all commissioners will be paying their own expenses for all conferences, and I think that that's fair. We do have a policy that prevents us from accepting any benefit in excess of $50 or $60, and so I think we all should pay our own way to any conferences. Secondly, the village worked on their budget on the 30th of October, and the park district, of every dollar of tax dollars, the village percentage is $11.58. New Trier High School is $26.05. The Winnetka Public School is $40.10, and the park district is $4.84. So the tax load for the park district is pretty small, and I think that the benefit that we deliver is good. So that's all I want to say.
We're not supposed to, like, can I just respond? Commissioner Cotto, are you planning to advance policy changes
Yes,
based on what you just said?
yes. I
Okay.
have always reimbursed for all of my conferences, and I think it's appropriate to do so.
Okay, I suppose that when that's on the agenda, we can debate that more
Yes.
robustly and fully.
May I also respond to that? One of the exceptions as far as gifts and any sort of compensation is provided for further education by commissioners. And right now, we may have a very flush, affluent group sitting on this board, but there may come a time when we don't. So you may want to take that into consideration, because the one thing I would think we would all want to do is to be well-informed and well-educated about our duties. Just a
I
thought.
would also say that it has been a requirement for a number of years to bring back to the board all of the notes and all of the presentation materials from the conference, which I have done promptly each time I've attended.
Such a good commissioner, madam, such a good one.
All right. Do we have any other comments? No? All right, at this time, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:33.
So moved.
Second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.